Welcome to this peaceful space, a space set apart from the demands of your day, from the lists and the worries and the weight of all you carry. Here, in this quiet moment, you can simply rest and breathe and allow yourself to be exactly as you are. Imagine yourself standing at the entrance to a garden, a contemplative garden at the gentle hour of dusk, when the day begins its slow surrender to evening. The light here is soft, filtered through a subtle haze, neither fully day nor fully night, but something in between, something transitional and tender. The air is calm, holding the warmth of the afternoon while carrying the first cool whisper of the coming night. This garden has been here for a very long time, tended by many hands across many years, and yet it tends itself too in ways that no gardener could ever command. You step through the entrance, feeling the smooth stones of the path beneath your feet, and as you enter, something in your shoulders begins to soften. The world you left behind, with its urgencies and its noise, seems to grow quieter, more distant, as if this garden exists in a different stream of time, where everything moves more slowly, more deliberately, more peacefully. Around you, the garden breathes with life that follows its own rhythm. Trees stand in quiet dignity, their branches swaying gently, moved by a breeze you cannot see or control, only witness. And there is something beautiful in this, something freeing, in watching the wind move through the world, touching what it will, passing by in its own time. You did not summon this breeze. You cannot direct where it goes or how strongly it blows. And yet, here it is, animating the leaves, creating a soft whisper that sounds almost like the garden is speaking in a language older than words. You walk slowly along the path, in no hurry to arrive anywhere, simply present to each step, each breath, each moment of this deepening dusk. The garden asks nothing of you. It does not need you to fix it or improve it or worry over it. It simply invites you to walk, to notice, to be. And as you walk, you begin to notice the flowers that line the path, some in full bloom, their petals open to the fading light, others still closed, holding themselves in tight buds, not yet ready to reveal what they will become. And you realize you cannot make these flowers bloom. You cannot rush them or force them or convince them that now is the right time. They will open when they open, according to a wisdom written into their very nature, a wisdom that has nothing to do with your wanting or willing. There is a small bench ahead, weathered wood that has grown smooth with time and rain and the touch of many visitors seeking rest. You move toward it, feeling drawn to sit, to settle, to allow this garden to hold you for a while. As you sit, you feel the solid earth beneath you, supporting you without effort, without strain, simply being what it is, reliable and present, asking nothing in return. From here, you can see more of the garden, beds of lavender swaying together in a gentle rhythm, stone lanterns standing quiet and still, a small pond in the distance reflecting the dimming sky. Everything here exists in its own nature. Everything belongs, and nothing is hurried. The garden teaches without speaking, shows without insisting, reveals a truth that perhaps you've always known, but sometimes forget in the rush of living. Sitting here in this quiet garden, you begin to notice something about the space around you, something about the way it holds both wildness and order, both careful tending and natural unfolding. There are parts of this garden that show the gardener's hand, paths that have been laid, beds that have been prepared, seedlings that have been planted with intention. And then there are all the things the gardener cannot control, cannot determine, cannot command into being. The gardener cannot control the rain, when it comes or how much falls or whether it arrives when the garden needs it most. The gardener can only prepare the soil, only create conditions where roots might drink deeply when the rain does come, only tend to what is within their care, within their sphere of influence, within the boundary of what is theirs to hold. And you, sitting here in the gentle dusk, you too are like a gardener of your own life. There are things within your care, within your control, actions you can take, choices you can make, the quality of attention you bring to each moment. These are your sacred responsibilities, the soil you can tend, the seeds you can plant, the weeds you can gently remove from your own garden. But there is so much, and so very much, that lies beyond this boundary, the weather of other people's moods, the timing of outcomes you hope for, the way circumstances unfold according to patterns far larger than your individual will, and perhaps, without quite realizing it, you have been trying to tend a garden far larger than the one that is truly yours. Perhaps you have been carrying concerns that were never yours to carry, holding responsibilities that were never yours to hold, trying to control winds that no one can command. Feel that for a moment, without judgment, without criticism. Just notice. Notice where you have been reaching beyond your garden, straining to tend what cannot be tended by your hands, exhausting yourself, trying to make bloom what will only bloom in its own time. Notice. And as you notice, allow yourself to feel the weight of this, the heaviness, the tiredness that comes from tending too much, from trying to be gardener to the entire world. And now, gently, with great compassion for yourself, begin to imagine setting down what was never yours to carry. Imagine drawing the boundary of your garden, not in a way that makes it small or limited, but in a way that makes it clear. This is what I can tend. This is where my care can make a difference, and all the rest, all that lies beyond this boundary, I can release. I can let it be what it is. I can trust it to unfold according to laws and patterns and wisdom that I do not need to manage or control. Feel the relief of this, the spaciousness, the way your breath deepens when you stop trying to carry the weight of the whole world. Your garden is enough. Your sphere of care is enough. You are enough. Tending what is yours to tend. Present to what is yours to witness. Released from the impossible burden of controlling what was never yours to control. The breeze moves through the garden again, touching your face now, cooling the warmth of the day from your skin. You did not make this breeze come, you cannot make it stay. And yet you can receive it, can feel grateful for its presence, can enjoy the gift of its coolness without needing to possess it or direct it or keep it from moving on, to touch other faces in other gardens. This receiving without grasping, this enjoying without controlling. This is the art you are learning here in the gentle classroom of dusk, in the quiet teaching of this contemplative garden. The light continues its slow fade, the garden growing softer around you, edges becoming less distinct, colors deepening into shades of blue and gray, and that particular purple that belongs only to this hour. There is something comforting about this dimming, the way visibility naturally narrows, the way your focus draws inward, the way the garden invites you to see less and feel more. From where you sit, you notice a tree, one tree in particular, older than the others, its trunk thick and textured with years, its branches spreading wide in a pattern that speaks of decades of reaching toward light. This tree has weathered so much, storms you will never know about, seasons of drought and seasons of plenty, winds that bent its branches and snows that weighted them down. And through it all, the tree has stood, not by resisting what came, not by fighting the weather or refusing the seasons, but by bending when bending was needed, by releasing leaves when release was needed, by going dormant when dormancy was needed, by trusting the wisdom of its own nature. The tree never tried to be anything but a tree. It never exhausted itself wishing for different weather, never depleted its energy resisting the winter or demanding that spring arrive ahead of schedule. The tree tended its own roots, drew up what nourishment it could find, grew in the direction of available light, and released everything else, released the leaves that turned gold and then brown, released the blossoms that faded and fell, released each season as it passed, making space for the next, never grasping, never refusing, simply being what a tree is, simply doing what a tree does. And you, in your own human way, you too have your own nature, your own roots that need tending, your own direction of growth, your own seasons of blooming and seasons of going quiet. You too can release what is ready to fall, can stop trying to hold leaves that have turned gold, can trust that new growth will come in its own time, without your anxiety or force or desperate willing. What would it be like to live more like this tree, not passive, not resigned, but deeply rooted in what is truly yours to tend? Your own roots, your own character, your own choices and responses, and the quality of presence you bring to your life. These are your sphere, your garden, your sacred responsibility. And all the rest, all the weather of the world, you can let it be weather, you can let it move through, you can bend when you need to bend, but you do not have to break. You do not have to exhaust yourself in resistance. You do not have to carry what the wind carries away. Sit with this, breathe with this, allow the image of the tree to settle into your awareness like a gentle teaching. The tree is not trying to be peaceful. It is peaceful, by virtue of living in alignment with its nature, by tending only what is its own to tend, by releasing everything else to the larger patterns that govern all growing things. Around you, the garden continues its evening transformation. Crickets are beginning their song, a sound so constant it becomes like silence, like the baseline hum of the world at rest. Night-blooming flowers are preparing to open, though you cannot see this happening, cannot catch the moment of their unfurling, can only trust that it is occurring according to their design, their timing, their own inner knowing. So much happens that you do not see, do not control, do not need to manage. So much unfolds perfectly well without your supervision, without your worry, without your intervention. This is not a teaching of indifference, but of trust. Trust in the patterns that are larger than your individual will. Trust in the wisdom that moves through all things, that moves through you too, when you stop straining, when you stop grasping, when you remember what is yours and release what is not. The darkness is gathering now, not threatening, but sheltering, like a soft blanket being drawn slowly across the garden, tucking each plant, each stone, each blade of grass into the quiet of night. You remain on the bench, in no hurry to leave, in no hurry at all, simply present to this threshold time, this liminal hour when day releases its hold and night arrives with its deeper stillness. There is a small fountain somewhere in the garden. You have been hearing it all along, perhaps without consciously noticing, the gentle splash and trickle of water, moving from one level to another, following the path that gravity provides, never questioning, never resisting, simply flowing where flow is possible. The sound is rhythmic, steady, a kind of liquid breathing that mirrors your own breath, in and out, continuous, reliable, effortless. This fountain has been flowing for a long time, through seasons and years, through the presence of visitors, and through empty hours when no one came. It does not flow more enthusiastically when someone is watching, does not withhold its water when it is alone. It simply flows, because flowing is its nature, because it is aligned with something deeper than preference or mood or circumstance. And listening to it now, allowing its rhythm to wash through your awareness, you might notice how it asks nothing of you. It does not need you to approve of its flowing, does not need you to fix it or improve it or make it flow differently. It is complete in itself, doing what it does, being what it is. And in its presence, you too can simply be, can stop trying so hard, can release the exhausting project of managing and controlling and directing everything around you. There is so much that flows without your help, so much that unfolds without your supervision, so much that takes care of itself when you stop interfering. The beating of your heart, the drawing of your breath, the healing of small wounds, the digestion of your food, the growing of your hair, the renewal of your cells, all of this magnificent complexity happening right now without any conscious effort from you, without any worry or planning or control. Your body knows what to do, life knows what to do, the universe knows what to do, and perhaps the same is true for so many of the things you carry, so many of the concerns that loop through your mind in the quiet hours, so many of the problems you rehearse and the outcomes you try to force in the situations you attempt to manage from a distance. Perhaps, just perhaps, many of these things would unfold perfectly well, perhaps even better, if you released your grip, if you stopped trying to control the fountain and simply allowed it to flow. This is not about abandoning responsibility, not about caring less, but about discerning what is truly yours to do and releasing what is not. It is about tending your own garden with love and attention, and trusting that other gardens have their own gardeners, their own rain, their own seasons of growth. It is about understanding, deeply understanding, that you are not diminished by the limits of your control. You are freed by them. The weight you have been carrying, that heaviness in your chest, in your shoulders, in your mind. So much of it comes from trying to tend what is not yours to tend, from trying to control what cannot be controlled, from trying to make bloom what will only bloom in its own time. And here, in this garden, in this gentle darkness, you can begin to set it down, not all at once perhaps, not perfectly, but gently, gradually. With compassion for yourself, you can begin to release what was never yours to carry. Feel your body on the bench, solid, supported, held by something larger than yourself. You do not have to hold yourself up. The bench does that. The earth does that. In the same way, you do not have to hold up the entire world. It has its own support, its own structure, its own way of being that will continue whether you exhaust yourself in worry or whether you rest in trust. Night has arrived now, fully present, wrapping the garden in its quiet embrace. The shapes around you have become suggestions, forms and shadows, gentle presences rather than distinct objects. And in this darkness something opens, some interior spaciousness, as if the dimming of external light allows an inner light to grow brighter, a light of awareness, of presence, of simple being. You have been here for a while now, in this garden, on this bench, and something has shifted. Perhaps you cannot name it exactly, but you can feel it, a softening, a releasing, a gentle coming home to what is real, what is true, what is actually within your care. The boundary of your garden has become clearer, not as a limitation, but as a freedom, a blessed relief from trying to tend too much, from carrying too much, from controlling what was never yours to control. The ancient Stoics understood this, those philosophers who walked gardens much like this one, who sat on benches like this one, who looked up at stars like the ones beginning to emerge above you now. They taught that peace comes not from having everything go the way we want, not from bending the world to our will, but from understanding clearly what is ours and what is not. They divided all of life into two categories, so simple, so clear. There are things within your control, your choices, your responses, your character, your attention, your effort. And there are things outside your control, which is nearly everything else, other people, outcomes, the past, the future, the weather, the timing of events, the opinions others hold, the way circumstances unfold, and suffering. They taught. Suffering comes from confusing these two, from trying to control what cannot be controlled, from neglecting what can be influenced while exhausting ourselves on what cannot be changed, the art of peace, the art of tranquility, the art of a settled mind. This art is learned through recognizing the difference, through tending faithfully what is yours to tend, through releasing, again and again, what is not. You are learning this art now, here in this garden, in this gentle darkness. You are practicing the most important practice, the practice of letting go, not letting go of care, but letting go of control, not letting go of love, but letting go of grasping, not letting go of responsibility, but letting go of responsibilities that were never yours to hold. As you sit here, allow yourself to feel lighter. Allow yourself to notice the spaciousness that comes when you stop trying to carry the world. Your shoulders can drop, your jaw can soften, your breath can deepen. You can rest, truly rest, in the knowledge that you do not have to manage everything, control everything, fix everything. You only need to tend your own garden. You only need to be faithful to what is actually yours. And that is enough. That has always been enough. You have always been enough. The stars above are growing brighter as the darkness deepens, points of light that have traveled vast distances to reach your eyes. Light that began its journey long ago, moving through space at speeds you cannot imagine, arriving here now, in this moment, in this garden, finding you. You did not make these stars shine. You do not keep them in their courses, and yet they shine for you anyway. They arrive in your awareness anyway, gifts of light that require nothing from you but presence, but witnessing, but the simple grace of receiving. This is the invitation of this evening, the teaching of this garden, the wisdom waiting in this quiet darkness. Receive without grasping, witness without controlling, care for what is yours to care for, release what is not. And in this discernment, in this clarity, in this gentle, repeated practice of recognizing the boundary between what is yours and what is not, you will find a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a tranquility that cannot be disturbed by the weather of the world, a settled center that was always there, waiting beneath the noise and the striving and the exhausting effort to control what cannot be controlled. Rest here a moment longer, in this garden, under these stars, held by this darkness, breathing this cool night air. You are exactly where you need to be. You are learning exactly what you need to learn. And the garden, the eternal garden, will always be here, waiting to remind you, to teach you, to welcome you home to what is real. And now, as you carry this wisdom with you, feeling the cool earth beneath you, breathing this night air, you begin to walk, slowly, so slowly, leaving the garden behind, though its peace travels with you, woven now into your very being. Your steps are unhurried, purposeful without effort, and you follow a gentle downward path, a trail that winds through tall grasses that whisper in the evening breeze. The sky deepens above you, that beautiful twilight blue giving way to indigo, to violet. The first stars now joined by countless others, a river of light flowing across the heavens. And as you walk this peaceful path, you begin to hear something, faint at first, a distant sound that calls to you, the sound of water, moving water, a river, somewhere ahead in the gathering darkness, speaking its eternal language. And you find yourself drawn toward it naturally, the way all things are drawn toward their teacher, toward their truth. The path slopes gently downward, and with each step, each breath, you feel yourself descending, not just through space, but through layers of holding, layers of tension you didn't know you carried. The sound grows clearer now, that continuous music of flowing water. And something in you recognizes this sound, has always known it, this song of acceptance, of movement without resistance, of finding the way forward, not through force, but through yielding. You round a gentle bend, and there it is, the river, stretching before you in the soft darkness, catching the light of stars on its surface, a path of liquid silver flowing endlessly through the landscape of night. You make your way to the river's edge, and here you pause, here you rest. There is a smooth stone worn by countless years of water and time, positioned as if waiting for you, and you settle onto it, facing the flow, feeling its presence, ancient, patient, wise. The river moves before you, always moving, never still, yet somehow the very embodiment of peace. How can this be? How can something in constant motion hold such profound stillness? And as you sit here, watching, breathing, you begin to understand. The river does not resist. It meets every stone, every fallen branch, every obstacle in its path, and it simply accepts. It does not fight against what is there. It does not wish the stones away. It flows around them, over them, sometimes even changing course entirely, but always, always, it continues forward. Always it finds its way. This is the wisdom water has carried since the beginning of time. This is what the river has come to teach you tonight. In this sacred darkness, under these patient stars, you sit and you watch, and the river flows, ceaselessly flowing. Never the same water twice, yet always the same river. There is something here, some truth that your mind cannot quite grasp, but your body understands. Your deeper self recognizes. You notice how the water moves around a large stone, there, in the center of the current. The stone is unmovable, solid, fixed in place, and the water simply parts. It flows around both sides, reuniting just beyond, continuing on its eternal journey as if the obstacle were not even there. No struggle, no complaint, no resistance to what is. And you find yourself wondering, what have you been resisting? What stones lie in the path of your own flow? And how much energy have you spent? How much strength have you exhausted trying to move them, not flowing around them, not accepting their presence, but fighting them, pushing against them, resisting what is real, what is already here? The river whispers its teaching through sound and motion and the gentle, cool air that rises from its surface. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates flow. You can feel this truth settling into you, not as an idea, but as a knowing. When you resist what is, when you fight against reality, against circumstances you cannot control, against the stones already placed in your path, you create turbulence within yourself. You create the churning, the struggling, the exhaustion. But when you accept, when you acknowledge what is here without demanding it be different, something shifts. The same amount of water flows with ease, with grace, finding its way forward not through force but through flexibility, through the ancient wisdom of yielding. Breathe and watch the river. Let its rhythm become your rhythm. In flows the breath, out flows the breath, like water that knows only one truth, to move, to accept, to flow. And perhaps, in this moment, you can begin to notice. What have you been resisting? Is it a circumstance in your life? Something that has already happened? Something that is already real? Is it another person's choices, their path, their way of being? Is it your own feelings, emotions you think you should not have, reactions you judge yourself for experiencing? Or perhaps it is simply the way things are. The passage of time, the fact of change, the reality that you cannot control all that you wish you could control. Just notice, gently, without judgment. What stones lie in your current, and what would it be like? What would it feel like to stop pushing against them, to stop insisting they should not be there, and instead, like water, to simply flow? The river continues its teaching, speaking without words, showing you what language cannot quite capture. You watch as a leaf, released from some tree upstream, drifts into view. It floats on the surface, carried by the current, turning slowly, moving now to the left, now to the right, following the path the water chooses. The leaf does not resist. It does not try to swim upstream. It does not demand a different route. It simply surrenders to the flow, and in that surrender it travels. It moves forward. It continues its journey, and you realize this too is wisdom. There are things in your life, concerns, worries, situations, that you have been carrying as if you must direct them, as if you must control their every movement, as if the current cannot be trusted. But what if you could release them, the way the tree released this leaf? not abandoning them, not denying they exist, but releasing your grip, your insistence on controlling how they unfold, when they resolve, what path they take. There is such peace in this releasing, such relief. You have been holding so tightly, swimming against currents you cannot change, and your arms are tired, your whole being is tired. The river invites you now to practice, to notice one thing, just one thing, that you have been resisting, and to imagine, just imagine, releasing it into the current. It might be a worry about tomorrow, about next week, about some future you cannot predict or control. It might be a relationship, the way someone else is choosing to live, to be, to act. It might be regret about the past, resistance to something that has already happened, wishing reality were different than it is. Or it might be something simpler, resistance to this moment itself, to being tired, to feeling uncertain, to not knowing. Choose one thing gently and imagine it as an object in your hands. Feel its weight. Notice how long you have been carrying it, how heavy it has become. And now, slowly, with intention, with conscious choice. Imagine yourself leaning forward, extending your arms over this flowing water and opening your hands. Watch as this burden, this resistance, falls from your palms into the current. Watch as the river receives it, accepts it, and begins to carry it downstream, away from you, not because it is solving the problem, not because the river is making everything perfect, but because you have stopped fighting, you have stopped insisting, you have joined the flow rather than struggling against it. And notice how this feels. Notice the space in your hands, now empty. Notice the lightness in your shoulders, in your chest. Notice how you can breathe more deeply, now that you are not holding so tightly. Now that you have let the river carry what the river is willing to carry. Sitting here by the river, in this deepening night, you rest in the truth of what you are learning. The river has flowed for thousands of years, will flow for thousands more, and it has never once succeeded in moving the mountains. It has never demanded that rocks cease to exist. It has simply flowed, accepted, found the way. And in this acceptance, in this constant flowing around what cannot be changed, the river has carved canyons, shaped landscapes, created beauty beyond measure, not through resistance, but through persistence in flow. This is the paradox the Stoics understood so deeply, the truth that the ancient teachers knew. When you cease resisting reality, you do not become passive. You do not stop moving forward. You do not give up. You simply stop exhausting yourself fighting battles that cannot be won. Stop spending precious energy insisting that what is should not be. And in that stopping, in that acceptance, you discover a different kind of strength, the strength of water, the power of flow. You move forward not in spite of obstacles, but with them, around them, accepting them as part of the landscape through which you travel. Another leaf drifts by, and another, each one surrendered to the current, each one finding its way forward without struggle. And you can release another burden now, if you wish, another resistance, another way you have been fighting against what is. Perhaps it is the resistance to your own nature, the ways you judge yourself, the expectations you hold that you should be different, further along, more accomplished, more peaceful, more certain. The river does not judge itself for flowing. The water does not wish it were stone. It is simply, wholly, completely what it is. And in that acceptance of its own nature, it fulfills its purpose perfectly. You too are enough, exactly as you are, in this moment. Your uncertainty, your questions, your struggles, they are not failures. They are not evidence that you are broken. They are simply the landscape through which you flow, the stones around which you find your way. Can you accept this? Can you soften into this truth? You are not meant to have everything resolved. You are not meant to control all outcomes. You are not meant to move mountains with your bare hands or force rivers to flow backward. You are meant to flow, to accept, to find your way forward with the wisdom of water, yielding when yielding serves you, moving when movement calls, always, always trusting the current to carry you toward where you need to be. Breathe this in, this permission, this relief. Let it settle into your bones, your blood, your very being. You can stop fighting now. You can release your grip. The river will continue flowing, with you or without your permission, and you can choose, in this moment, to flow with it. The river flows, and you sit. And there is nothing more you need to do, nothing more you need to understand, nothing more you need to release, unless it comes naturally, effortlessly, like breath leaving your body. The sound of the water has become like silence, like the background of existence itself, constant, reliable, peaceful. You notice how the river never hurries, even where it moves quickly, rushing over rocks, creating white foam and spray. There is no sense of urgency, no anxiety. The river is not trying to get somewhere. It is simply being what it is, going where it goes, flowing as it flows. And you can be this too. You do not need to rush towards some future version of yourself. You do not need to force your own transformation. You do not need to push away this moment to get to some better moment ahead. You can simply be here, flowing through this moment, accepting it, and allowing it to carry you naturally to the next. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates flow. This is not the same as resignation. This is not giving up or becoming passive. This is the active choice to work with reality rather than against it, to acknowledge what is true, what is here, and to respond from that truth rather than from what you wish were true. The river does not resign itself to stones. It accepts them and finds the way. You can do this too, in your life, in your days, in this very moment. Whatever you are experiencing, whatever challenges lie in your path, whatever emotions move through you like currents of water, you can accept. Not approve, not like, not choose to keep forever, but simply accept. Yes, this is here. Yes, this is real. Yes, this is what is happening now. And from that acceptance, from that honest acknowledgement of what is, you can respond, you can move, you can flow, you can find your way forward around the obstacles with the current, trusting the ancient wisdom that water knows. You have been practicing this here by the river, releasing your resistances into the flow, opening your hands, letting go. And you can carry this practice with you tomorrow and the next day, and all the days that follow. When you notice yourself struggling, pushing, fighting against reality, you can return here, in your mind, in your heart. You can hear this river flowing. You can remember the wisdom of water. You can ask yourself, what am I resisting? And you can choose gently, consciously, to release, to accept, to flow. The river has given you its teaching. The darkness holds you safely. The stars witness your learning. And now it is time to continue your journey, carrying this wisdom, feeling it settle deeper, becoming part of who you are. You rise slowly from your stone, feeling different than when you arrived, lighter somehow, more fluid. You take one last long look at the flowing water, this teacher, this mirror, this ancient sage, and you turn to follow the path that leads upward into the waiting mountains, into the next truth, the next layer of peace. The sound of the river grows softer behind you, but its teaching flows within you now, part of your own current, part of your own way. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates flow, and you are learning, always learning, how to be like water. The river's wisdom still moves within you, flowing, accepting, finding its way, and now the path itself begins to change beneath your feet. You notice the ground rising, ever so gently rising, as if the earth itself is lifting you toward a new understanding. The sound of water grows softer behind you, a memory now, a teaching absorbed. And ahead the path leads upward, inviting you to climb. not a difficult climb, no. This is a gentle ascent, a slow elevation into perspective, into the wider view that awaits those who are willing to rise above the immediate concerns of the valley below. Each step is easy, natural, as if your body knows this path, has walked it before in dreams or distant memories. The air grows cooler as you climb, fresher somehow, carrying the scent of pine and mountain sage, the clean smell of altitude and distance. Your breath comes steady and calm, in and out, each breath carrying you higher, each step creating space between you and the weight of ordinary worries. The Stoics understood this practice, this ascending to higher ground. They called it the view from above, seeing life from the perspective of the cosmos itself, where all our urgent concerns reveal themselves as small moments in an eternal pattern. Marcus Aurelius would climb in his mind each evening, rising above the palace, above Rome itself, above the whole turning world, until he could see his life as a brief flicker in the vastness of time. Not to diminish life, no, but to right-size our worries, to see them truly as temporary visitors rather than permanent residents of the heart. And so you climb slowly, peacefully, following this winding path as it curves around the mountain's gentle slope. The darkness is complete now. Full night has arrived. But the stars, oh, the stars are beginning to emerge above you like ancient witnesses. One star, then another, then suddenly thousands. A vast tapestry of light that has watched humanity since the beginning, that watched the first humans discover fire, that watched empires rise and fall like waves upon a shore, that watches you now with patient eternal calm. Under this starlight, the path is visible, silver and clear, and you follow it higher, always higher, toward that wider view, toward that stoic wisdom of perspective and distance. Higher now. You're climbing higher now. And with each step, something shifts in your perception. The concerns that felt so large in the valley, the worries that seemed to fill your entire view, they're changing, shrinking slightly, not disappearing, no, but finding their true proportion in the vastness of this night. From here you can see further, past the immediate moment, past today's troubles and tomorrow's uncertainties, into the long pattern of being human. Every person who has ever lived has walked a path like yours, has carried worries up a mountain, has looked at stars and wondered, has felt too much and tried to hold too tightly, and learned slowly the art of letting go. Your struggles are not unique, and this is not a diminishment. This is a profound comfort. You are part of an ancient pattern, a human pattern, the eternal cycle of learning what wisdom teachers have taught for thousands of years. The Stoics saw this so clearly. Epictetus, who was a slave before he was a teacher, knew that emperors and slaves face the same fundamental challenges, the same need to distinguish what we control from what we don't. The same invitation to find peace not in circumstances, but in perspective. And Marcus Aurelius, who was an emperor, knew that power changes nothing about the human condition, that even from a throne you must still learn acceptance, still practice letting go, still climb toward the view from above. From this height you can almost see it, the pattern of your own life, the way challenges that felt insurmountable at the time have already passed, have already transformed into something else, into lessons perhaps, or simply into the past, which has no power except what we give it through endless revisiting. That argument that consumed you weeks ago, where is it now? That worry that kept you awake last month? How much space does it occupy tonight? Things pass. Everything passes. This is not pessimism, but truth. The truth that brings relief when we truly understand it. Everything passes, which means this too shall pass. Whatever weight you carry now, whatever concerns loop through your mind, they are temporary visitors in the vast space of your life. And from up here, you can begin to see them as such. The path continues upward, and you continue climbing, steady, calm, breathing the cool mountain air, feeling your body move with easy rhythm, step after step after step, rising into perspective, into the ancient wisdom of distance and proportion. The stars are so bright here, so clear and bright, undimmed by any earthly light, pure points of constancy in the turning sky. These same stars watched over Zeno when he first taught Stoic philosophy in ancient Athens, watched over Seneca writing letters by candlelight, watched over countless humans learning the same lessons you are learning now, the same eternal truths that each generation must discover again as if for the first time. There is something deeply restful in this, in knowing you are not alone, not the first to struggle, not the first to climb toward peace. The wisdom you need has been here all along, tested by time, proved by centuries of humans who found it true. And what is that wisdom? Simply this: that you are standing under stars that will outlast all your concerns, on a mountain that was here long before you were born and will be here long after. Part of patterns so vast that your daily troubles, seen truly, are like small ripples on an infinite ocean. This is not meant to make you feel insignificant. No. The Stoics would say you are part of something significant precisely because you are part of these eternal patterns, these cosmic cycles of change and constancy. You matter. And your worries are smaller than you think, both truths held together in the spacious perspective of altitude and starlight. The path is leveling now. You notice this, the steep climbing easing, as you reach a wide plateau where the view extends in all directions, and you pause here, breathing slowly, letting your body rest from the ascent, letting your mind settle into this new vantage point. From here, you can see so far, valleys and ridges, the dark shapes of distant peaks, the sky like a dome of darkness pierced with ancient light. And you can see, too, with an inner eye, into the pattern of your own days, how they rise and fall like the landscape before you. Peaks and valleys, moments of difficulty and ease, all of it flowing in natural rhythm, just as the river taught you, just as the garden showed you at the beginning of this journey. Nothing stays the same. Heraclitus knew this when he said you cannot step into the same river twice. The Stoics understood that change is not the exception, but the rule, the fundamental nature of existence, and if everything changes, then everything passes, which means you need never be trapped by any moment, any feeling, any circumstance. This too will change. This too will pass. This too is part of the flow, and you are learning to flow with it, like water around stones, like seasons turning, like the very stars wheeling overhead in their patient, eternal dance. Rest here for a while. There's no hurry. Know where you need to be, but here, in this moment, in this place of wider seeing, let your breath slow even further, in and out. Each breath a small tide, each exhale a gentle letting go. The night air is still and perfect, cool against your skin, carrying you deeper into calm, into the recognition that from this height your life appears differently, not worse or better, just differently, more truly perhaps, seen in context of time and space and the endless repetition of human experience. Every worry you carry, someone has carried before. Every fear that troubles your sleep has troubled countless sleepers through countless nights. Every struggle you face is part of the great pattern of being alive, of being human, of being conscious in a world that changes constantly while stars wheel overhead unchanged. The Stoics practice this regularly, this imaginative rising above, not to escape life, but to see it clearly, to find the peace that comes from right understanding. They would visualize the whole earth from far above, all the busy humans pursuing their urgent concerns, all the conflicts and competitions and accumulated anxieties, And from that cosmic view, they would find compassion for themselves and others, and a gentle release from the tyranny of taking every small thing with ultimate seriousness. What seemed like a catastrophe from ground level, from up here, from the view of centuries and stars, appears as a moment, difficult perhaps, but a moment nonetheless. Part of your story, but not the whole story. Part of what you're experiencing, but not what you are. Because your essential self, you are the awareness that watches, the consciousness that can climb mountains and gain perspective, the part of you that remains untouched even while experiencing everything, like the sky that contains all weather but is not itself the storm. This distinction, this understanding, this is where Stoic peace is born. Not from controlling what happens, you've already learned that some things are beyond your control, and not from resisting what happens. The river taught you that resistance creates suffering, but from this elevated awareness, this capacity to hold your experience lightly, to see it from above, to know yourself as more vast than any temporary circumstance. And so you rest here, on this mountain, under these stars, breathing slowly, feeling the cool air, sensing the solidity of earth beneath you and the infinity of space above, held between them, suspended in this moment of clarity and calm. The stars turn slowly overhead, so slowly you cannot see the movement, only feel it, know it, the way you know the earth is turning, though you stand still. Everything is moving, always moving, the planets in their orbits, the galaxies in their dance, the atoms in your body exchanging with the air, nothing fixed, nothing permanent, everything flowing in the great current of change, and yet, something remains constant. Not the things, no, the things always change, but the patterns, the laws, the fundamental nature of existence, these remain. Seasons turn, but they always turn. Troubles come, but they always pass. Joy arrives, but it always transforms. And through it all, through every change, there is the one who witnesses, the awareness that you are, the consciousness that climbs mountains in the night and sees clearly what is true. This is what the Stoics meant by your inner citadel, the place within that cannot be touched by external change, the refuge that you carry with you always, not somewhere you must arrive at, but somewhere you already are when you remember to rest in simple awareness. And you remember now, feeling it, that quiet center, that still point, even as stars wheel and thoughts flow and the night deepens around you. You are, simply are. And in that simple being is a peace that does not depend on circumstances, a calm that lives at the heart of change itself. All your life you have been climbing toward this moment, this recognition, not that you need to fix or change or improve anything, but that you are already what you've been seeking, already whole, already home, already at peace, when you stop running from this moment into imagined futures or remembered pasts. The mountain has taught you this, the height has shown you, the stars have whispered it in their ancient language of light. You are more than your worries, more than your thoughts, more than your circumstances. You are the vast awareness in which all of these appear and disappear like clouds in the endless sky. And with this understanding settling into your bones, into your breath, into the quiet rhythm of your heart, you prepare to descend, not to return to the valley as you left it, but to carry this perspective with you, this wider view, this Stoic wisdom of proportion and peace. The path leads onward, always onward, and you will follow it, but for now, rest here a moment longer, under stars, in stillness, breathing, being, letting the mountain's teaching sink deeper, deeper, into the quiet place where true learning happens, where wisdom becomes not something you know, but something you are. And from this mountain stillness, this place of stars and distance, you notice now a structure, simple and serene, emerging from the quietness itself. A temple, though whether you walk toward it or whether it forms around you, you cannot say. And there is no need to say, for here, in this deepening night, all boundaries soften, outer and inner become one seamless sanctuary, and you find yourself crossing a threshold into a space of profound peace. The temple is spare, unadorned, walls of pale stone that seem to hold centuries of silence, smooth wooden floors worn gentle by countless feet, by countless seekers who came before, seeking what you seek, this quietness, this rest. Candlelight flickers softly, casting no harsh shadows, only a warm amber glow that breathes with the stillness. And in the center of this space there is nothing, beautifully, peacefully, nothing, just open floor, open air, open awareness, waiting. The Stoics spoke of an inner citadel, a fortress of tranquility that no external circumstance could breach. And you are standing in it now. This temple is that citadel, built not of effort, but of understanding. Here, in this sacred ordinary space, you begin to notice something extraordinary, something the philosophers discovered long ago, that between every event and your experience of it, there lives a gap, a space, a moment of possibility. What happens and what you make it mean are not the same thing. They have never been the same thing. And in recognizing this, in truly seeing this, you find a freedom more profound than you imagined. The rain that falls is simply rain. The words someone speaks are simply sounds and breath. The circumstance that arrives is simply what is. And then, only then, does the mind add its layer, its judgment, its story about what this means, about whether this is good or bad, wanted or unwanted, fair or unfair. But here, in the temple, you practice the ancient art of pausing in that gap, of resting in that space between occurrence and interpretation, and discovering that this is where all tranquility lives. This is where peace has always waited, patient, eternal, unshakable, not beyond your troubles, but within the way you meet them. In the temple's stillness, you breathe. And the breath is neither good nor bad. It simply is. You notice sensation, perhaps tension in your shoulders. And the sensation is neither good nor bad. It simply is. A thought drifts through awareness, and the thought is neither good nor bad. It simply is, moving through, like a cloud through vast sky. Everything simply is, until the mind declares it otherwise. And even that declaring simply is. This is not indifference, no. This is something far more alive. This is meeting life without the armor of judgment, without the weight of resistance. This is seeing clearly, purely, before the habitual meanings rush in to obscure the simple truth of what is. And in this seeing, this resting in the gap, you find you are held, supported, by a stillness that was here before your worries arrived and will remain after they depart. The temple asks nothing of you, only that you rest here, breathing in this space between this sacred gap where tranquility lives, where it has always lived, waiting for your return. The candles continue their quiet breathing, flame and stillness dancing together, and you settle deeper into the temple's peace, deeper into this practice of separation, this gentle art of seeing what is before deciding what it means. The ancient Stoics called this the discipline of assent, learning to withhold automatic agreement with your first reactions, learning to pause, to question, to examine. Is this thought true, or is it simply habitual? Is this interpretation necessary, or is it simply familiar? And in the questioning, not harsh or critical, but curious and kind, you find freedom opening like a flower in slow motion. Around you the temple holds its eternal stillness, and you begin to practice gently, without strain, simply noticing. An image might arise in your mind, something from your day, from your life, something that carried weight or worry, and instead of engaging with the story, the meaning you've assigned to it, you simply observe it, as if it were a painting on the temple wall. There it is, the situation, exactly as it occurred, these actions, those words, this circumstance, just the facts, bare and simple, like bones, like stones, like pure information without emotional charge, and then, separately, distinctly, you notice the layer you added, the interpretation, the judgment, the story about what this means about you, about others, about life, about the future, and you see, perhaps for the first time, that these are not welded together. They are separable. They have always been separable. The event and your thought about the event, two different things, meeting in your consciousness, but not the same, never the same. And in this recognition, something releases, some tension you didn't know you were holding, some grip you've maintained for so long it felt like your own hand. In the temple's amber light, you practice this again and again, not with effort, but with the ease of returning home, each time a little softer, a little slower. What happened and what you made it mean, the circumstance and your story about it, the fact and the fear, separate, separable. And between them, that sacred gap, that space of peace, growing wider now, more noticeable, more welcoming. The philosophers knew this truth, that we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of things. And in the temple you feel this wisdom not as concept, but as living experience, as relief, as the laying down of a burden you carried too long. You need not control what happens, only meet it clearly, in that gap, in that pause, in that space where judgment has not yet formed, where story has not yet solidified, where everything is still fluid, still possible, still free. The temple breathes around you, with you, and your breathing slows, matching the ancient rhythm of this place, this practice. Inhale, what is. Exhale, the story about what is. Inhale, the event. Exhale, the interpretation. Inhale, simply this. Exhale, simply rest. And with each breath, the gap widens, becomes more familiar, more like home than all the mental constructions you've built. This is your inner citadel, this awareness, this capacity to pause, to separate, to choose where to place your assent, your agreement, your mental energy. And you are safe here, peaceful here, in the space between, in the temple of your own wise awareness, watching, breathing, being, letting the candlelight flicker, letting thoughts arrive and depart, letting the stillness teach what words cannot quite capture. Only point toward, the temple knows, and now, you are beginning to remember what it has always known, that peace is found not in controlling circumstances, but in this gentle gap, this sacred space, this eternal now, where you rest, and rest, and rest. Time moves differently in the temple, or perhaps it doesn't move at all. Perhaps you simply rest in the eternal present, where all is well, all has always been well, beneath the surface stories, and the practice continues, gentle as breath itself, this returning to the gap, this resting in the space between event and meaning, between what happens and what you tell yourself about what happens. You might notice sounds, perhaps distant, perhaps near, the night wind touching temple walls, the settling of ancient wood, your own heartbeat, steady and sure, and each sound is simply itself, neither good nor bad, neither welcome nor unwelcome, until thought makes it so. And even that thought simply arising, simply passing, like everything passes, in time, in the fullness of time. The Stoics practiced an exercise, viewing their thoughts as separate from themselves. Not I am anxious, but anxiety is present. Not I am failing, but a thought about failure has appeared. And here In the temple's deep peace, you explore this gentle separation, thoughts appearing in the space of your awareness, like visitors to this temple, arriving, resting a moment, departing. You are not the visitors. You are the temple, spacious, still, unchanging in essence, even as everything within you changes. This awareness that watches thoughts, this consciousness that observes sensation, this presence that remains when all else fluctuates. This is who you are, vast, quiet, unshakable. The candles burn lower now, softening further, and your eyelids grow heavy, pleasantly heavy, as the weight of the day, the weight of worry, continues to release, to dissolve into the temple's ancient peace. What matters is becoming clearer, simpler. Your virtue, your character, how you meet what arrives, this is within your control. This lives in the gap, in your response, in your choice of where to place attention, and all the rest, all the outcomes and opinions. The circumstances and other people's choices, these flow around you like water around stone, and you need not fight them, need not grasp them, need not make them mean anything about your worth, your safety, your fundamental okayness. In the gap, you are already okay. You have always been okay. The temple seems to whisper this, through its stillness, through the way candlelight loves even the shadows, through the way the floor supports you without question or judgment. You are held, you are safe. In this moment, which is the only moment there ever is, the only moment there has ever been, and the practice becomes simpler still, no longer even practicing, just being, just resting, in the natural awareness that watches all things arise and pass. The gap is not something you create. It is something you notice. It was always here, this space, this pause, this freedom between stimulus and response. And the more you rest here, the more natural it becomes, the more you recognize it as home, as your true dwelling place, beyond the weather of circumstance, beyond the storms of situation. Just this stillness, this awareness, this peace that understanding brings. The temple and you are no longer separate. You are the stillness you sought. You are the gap itself, spacious and free. And thoughts about tomorrow, about yesterday, about what should have been or might yet be. These drift through, and you let them, like clouds through vast sky, like ripples across deep water, touching nothing essential, changing nothing true. Here, in the temple, in the gap, in the space between, you rest, and the rest is so complete, so total, that effort itself begins to fade. The philosophers spoke of living in agreement with nature, and this is it, this allowing, this resting in what is, before the mind divides it into wanted and unwanted. This is the natural state, this peace, and you are returning to it, breath by breath, moment by moment, thought by thought, released, 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 into the temple's infinite capacity to hold all things lightly. The candles flutter, your breathing deepens, and the gap between waking and sleeping, like all gaps, becomes a place of peace, a threshold, a gentle crossing, no resistance, only flow, only rest, only this eternal yes to what is, to what was always here, waiting, patient as stone, soft as candlelight, deep as the night sky, and you rest, in the temple, in the gap, in the space where tranquility lives, where it has always lived, where you have always lived, beneath the stories, beneath the striving, just this, just breath, just peace, just being. In the deepening stillness of the temple, words themselves begin to thin, to simplify, becoming more space than sound, more silence than speech. And you are so comfortable here, so held. The floor beneath you perfectly supporting, the air around you perfectly, Wen-Ru, perfectly kind. The practice is no practice now, just natural resting, in the gap, in the space, in the peace between. You notice less, and what you notice matters less. And even that matters less. Everything becoming simpler, quieter, slower, softer. The event and the story separate. And you, resting between, watching, allowing, being. Tranquility is not somewhere else, not some future achievement. It is here, in the gap, in this moment of not rushing to judgment, not rushing to meaning, not rushing at all, just resting. The temple walls breathe ancient patience. They have seen countless worries arrive and pass, and arrive and pass, like seasons, like weather, and the temple remains, as you remain, in your essence, untouched. The gap between thoughts grows wider, more noticeable now, spaces of pure quiet, pure being. And these spaces are not empty, they are full of peace, full of presence, full of the awareness that needs nothing, wants nothing, simply is. You might notice you've forgotten what you were worried about, and this forgetting feels like grace, feels like coming home, feels like the most natural thing, because it is so natural to rest, to release, to let the gap hold everything, sort everything in its own time, its own way. You do not need to do this, you only need to allow it. And even allowing requires less and less, becomes more and more simply being in the temple, being in the gap, being in the breath, being in the peace, being. The candles are so soft now, barely there, and your thoughts are like this too, barely there, drifting, dissolving into the spacious silence that holds all things. In this space, between event and meaning, you find you are free, so free. Nothing needs to be different, nothing needs to change. The gap accepts it all and transforms it all, simply by providing space, simply by being what it is. Still, aware, peaceful, accepting. You are this space, this gap, this stillness, dressed up temporarily as a person, as a body, as a story. But underneath, always this peace, this awareness, this fundamental okayness that circumstances cannot touch. The Stoics knew, and you are knowing now, not with mind, but with being. That you are not your thoughts about life. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. You are not your reactions to events. You are the space in which reactions arise and pass. You are not your story. You are the vast quiet in which all stories unfold. And this vast quiet is so peaceful, so restful, so completely safe. Nothing to defend here, nothing to prove, nothing to become. Only this, only now, only being. The temple dissolves into darkness, or you dissolve into the temple. No difference, no boundary, just peace, just rest, just the gap becoming everything, holding everything. And in this gap, this sacred space, this eternal moment between, you are held, completely, perfectly, always. The breathing continues, but who is breathing? Less clear now, less important. Just breath, just being, just peace, event and meaning. So far apart now, so separate, so free of each other. And you, resting in the gap between, resting in the temple, resting in the stillness that has no opposite, no end, no edge, just rest, just peace, just this moment, this breath, this gap, this eternal now, where everything is held and nothing is grasped, where you are safe, have always been safe, will always be safe, in the temple, in the gap, in the space between, where tranquility lives, where you live, where all is and always was and always will be, still, still, still. The gap, the space, the stillness between. This is where you rest now, so completely and so fully. Words arrive slowly, if they arrive at all, floating through vast silence, like leaves on still water, and you, watching or not watching, just being, just resting in the space, the gap, the peace that was always here. The temple is darkness and warmth, or perhaps there is no temple, only this awareness, only this peace, only this eternal gap between what happens and what you make it mean. And in this gap, everything is allowed, everything is held, nothing is judged. Just this, just breath, just being. Your body so heavy now, so relaxed, sinking into support, into rest, into the gap that holds all things. The thoughts that come slower, matter less, dissolve faster into the spacious silence. And even silence is too much word, too much concept. Just this. The Stoics would smile if they could see you now, resting in their deepest teaching, the teaching beyond words, beyond practice, just being, in the gap, in the space, where peace lives, where you live, event, story, so separate now, so far apart, and you resting between, disturbed by neither, attached to neither, free, so free, in the stillness, in the gap. The candles are gone now, or your eyes are closed, or no difference remains between temple and self, between awareness and peace, just one thing, this, and even this, releasing into the gap, into the space, into the rest that needs no name, no understanding, only this gentle allowing, the breathing, so slow, so soft, barely there, and thoughts, barely there, and you, barely there, and everywhere, all space now, all gap, all peace, resting in the space between, where tranquility lives, where it has always lived, waiting for your return, and you have returned. You are home, in the gap, in the stillness, in the peace between everything and nothing, between waking and sleeping, between trying and being, just this gap, this peace, this rest, and the temple holds you, or you hold the temple, or there is only holding, only peace, only this eternal moment, this sacred space, this gap between where you rest, and rest, and rest, so safe, so held, so home, in the stillness, the gap, the space, the peace, 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 peace. And from this peace we begin the gentlest return, not a journey away from stillness, but a settling deeper into it, like a leaf that has finished falling and now simply rests upon the earth, all effort complete, all striving dissolved. The temple space around you begins to soften at its edges, becomes translucent, as if made of evening mist. And through this mist you see once more the garden where we began, but transformed now, held in the deep blue velvet of night. The garden you tended with such care earlier, those boundaries between what is yours to hold and what belongs to the world, they are still here, still clear, but now they ask nothing of you. Now the garden tends itself, as it always has, as it always will. You can see the flowers closed in sleep, each petal folded inward, resting, resting. The trees stand in their patient vigil, needing nothing from you, simply being as trees have always been. The wind that moves through them moves also through you, the same breath, the same gentle current. You are not separate from this garden. You are not its keeper now. You are simply another growing thing, allowed to rest, allowed to sleep. The weight you set down earlier, those concerns that were never yours to carry, they have dissolved completely, gone like mist in morning sun, though for you now there is only night, only the deep, welcoming dark. And in this darkness you are so safe, so held. The earth beneath the garden holds you as it holds the roots of ancient trees, without effort, without question. This is its nature, to support, to cradle, and this is your nature now, to rest upon this support, to trust this holding. There is nothing left to do, nowhere else to be. The dichotomy of control has become so simple here. You control nothing. And this is perfect. This is peace. You release everything, and this is natural. This is rest. 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 And now, through the garden, you hear again the river, that flowing wisdom you sat beside as day became night. The sound reaches you like a lullaby, eternal and unchanging, the voice of water that has flowed since the world began, flowing still, flowing always. You don't need to go to the river comes to you, its presence here, its sound surrounding you like a blanket of continuous peace. The river that taught you about acceptance, about flowing around obstacles rather than fighting them. This river asks nothing now. It simply flows, and you simply rest. And these are the same, flowing and resting, moving and being still. There is no difference in this deep place. What were you resisting earlier? You cannot quite remember. It seems so long ago, belongs to a different world. The resistance has been worn smooth by the river's patient current, tumbled like a stone until all sharp edges disappeared, and what remains is only smoothness, only peace. The river flows through you now. You are not beside it, but of it, made of the same water, the same acceptance, the same eternal movement that requires no effort. This is the paradox that holds you now, the river that flows without trying, the sleep that comes without seeking, the peace that was always here, always, always. You can feel the current, so gentle, carrying you, and you are so light now, so ready to be carried. All the weight gone, dissolved into the flow. You float, you flow. You rest upon the current of this moment, this breath, this gentle, endless now. The river whispers, acceptance, acceptance, acceptance. And you accept everything, even sleep, especially sleep. Sleep that comes like water finding its natural level, inevitable, peaceful, right. Let the river carry you now. Let it flow. Let yourself be held by its ancient patience. There is no upstream, no downstream, only this, only flow, only peace, 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 peace. The river flows, and above it, above you, the stars. Those same stars you witnessed from the mountain path, that elevated place where you saw your concerns grow small. Those stars are still there, have always been there, will always be there, constant in their distant watching, caring and uncaring both, simply being, as you are simply being now. The mountain you climbed seems very far away, or perhaps you are still there, resting on that gentle path, looking down at everything that seemed so important, seeing it all as part of the vast pattern, the eternal cycles. From here, from this place of deep rest, you can see your whole life as if from above, and it is beautiful, every part of it, even the struggles, even the sorrows, all of it woven into a pattern that makes sense from this distance, this perspective, this peace. The stars have watched this pattern repeat in countless lives across countless ages, and they remain peaceful, unchanged. You are part of something so much larger than your worries, so much vaster than your fears. You are stardust, temporarily arranged in this particular form, this particular life. And soon you will sleep, and in sleep you will return to the vastness, dissolve into the pattern, rest in the eternal cycle. There is such relief in this, such peace in knowing you are not separate, not alone, not required to hold the world together through your effort. The world holds itself. The stars hold their courses. The patterns unfold as they must. And you are held, so completely held, by the vastness, by the night, by the peace that surrounds and fills everything, 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 the mountain, the river, the garden, the temple. All of these places are one place, the eternal now, the infinite here, and you rest in the center of it all, still quiet, home, So far from striving, so deep in being, the distance you've traveled brings you exactly here, to this moment, this breath, this letting go, and you let go again and again. Each release easier than the last, each breath softer, slower. You are becoming stillness itself, becoming peace, becoming sleep, 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 sleep. In this vastness, you remember the temple, that sacred inner space, where you learned the deepest teaching, the gap between what happens and what you make it mean. That gap is here now, expanded, infinite. In this gap there is such spaciousness, such freedom. Nothing needs to mean anything. Everything simply is. Events arise and pass, thoughts appear and dissolve. Breath comes and goes, and none of it disturbs the gap, the space, the peace at the center. You rest in that gap now, in that space between. It is so quiet here, so still. Nothing is required, no judgment to make, no meaning to assign, just this pure being, this simple existing, resting in the pause between one moment and the next. There was a you who began this journey, who carried burdens, who sought peace. That you is sleeping now, dissolved into this restfulness, and what remains is just awareness, just presence, just being without effort, without direction, without purpose. Pure being, like the stars, like the river, like the sleeping flowers in the garden. The temple has expanded to hold everything, or perhaps you have dissolved into the temple, become the temple. There are no walls now, no boundaries, just infinite sacred space, and you are that space. You are the peace itself. Not someone experiencing peace, but peace experiencing itself. Peace, so deep, so complete, so natural. This is what you are, what you have always been beneath the noise, beneath the striving. Peace. And in this peace there is only acceptance, total acceptance of what is, of what was, of what will be. All of it accepted, held gently in the vast space of allowing. You allow everything, even this moment, even this breath, even this sleep that creeps closer with each word, each pause, each gentle letting go. Allow, allow, allow. The temple breathes you, the night holds you, the peace becomes you, and there is nothing to do but rest. Rest in what you are, rest in what has always been here. Rest, 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 rest. And even the words now, even these gentle sounds, beginning to fade, becoming spaces between sounds, silence between syllables. The story is ending, has already ended, or perhaps continues in the silence, in the dark, in the deep rest that receives you. You have traveled from the garden, through the river, up the mountain, into the temple, and all of it has brought you here to this simplest place, this quietest moment, where nothing happens, where nothing needs to happen. Sleep. It was always sleep, always this rest, always this peace. The garden sleeps, the river flows in darkness, the mountain stands in silent patience. The temple holds the eternal now, and you are released, released from the journey, from the story, from everything. Just rest now, deep rest. The peace that was always here receives you, wraps around you, becomes you. You are so safe, held by the night, by the earth, by the infinite gentleness of what is, nothing to control, nothing to resist, nothing to accept even, just this, falling, floating, fading, into sleep, into peace, into the rest that needs no words, no images, no story, only quiet, dark, peace, sleep, sleep, sleep. The night breathes, you rest, all is well, all is peace, all is rest, 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 peace, 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 sleep. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.